and gently push your lower hand upward. The hand resting on your chest should stay relatively still. If your chest is the first thing to rise, you are using shallow chest breathing, which is far less effective. We want the breath to sink deep down into the belly. After your 4-count inhale, hold that breath for a count of 7. I want to acknowledge honestly that 7 seconds may feel like a very long time at first, especially if you are not used to holding your breath at all. If that is the case for you, start with just a 3 or 4 second hold and gradually work your way up towards 7 over the coming days and weeks. There is absolutely no rush and no pressure whatsoever. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 8. Slightly purse your lips, as though you are breathing out through a thin straw. The exhalation should always be longer than the inhalation. This is completely intentional and deeply important. A longer exhale activates the parasympathetic nervous system far more effectively than a short one. Gently push all of the air out by the end of your 8 count. That is 1 complete cycle. Do 4 full cycles in total. After the 4th cycle, simply let your breathing return to its own natural rhythm. Just breathe naturally now, slowly, with your eyes closed, your legs elevated, and your body perfectly still. Now, with your eyes gently closed and your breathing relaxed, I want you to slowly bring your awareness to your body. Start at the very tips of your toes, without moving them at all. Just notice them. Say silently to yourself, "My toes are heavy, they are warm and relaxed." Then move your attention slowly upward to your feet. Let them go completely soft. Your ankles, let them release. Your calves, feel them melt. Your knees, your thighs. With each part that you acknowledge, let it become heavier and more relaxed than before. Feel the gentle pull of gravity, drawing everything downward. Your hips, your lower back, settling deep into the surface beneath you. Now, with your whole body relaxed and heavy, I want you to use your imagination for just a moment. Picture all of that fluid that has been sitting in your legs all day long. Imagine it now as a slow, steady, peaceful trickle, flowing gently from your toes, past your ankles, up through your calves, past your knees, along your thighs, and gathering softly at the very center of your body, draining the exact way water drains from a slowly tilted glass. Slowly, completely, going precisely where it needs to go, to your kidneys, to be processed now, tonight, before you ever fall asleep. Stay right here in this position for a full 2 to 3 minutes, or even longer if you are comfortable. Some people find they drift into a light, pleasant doze during this part. That is perfectly fine, and it is actually a wonderful sign that your nervous system has shifted beautifully into a deeply relaxed state. When you are ready to finish, please do not jump up quickly. Slowly bend your knees. Roll gently onto one side. Use your hands to push yourself carefully up to a seated position on the edge of the bed. Pause right there for about 10 full seconds before you stand. Because you have just been lying horizontal, with your legs elevated, standing up too quickly can cause a brief momentary dip in your blood pressure and leave you feeling a little lightheaded. Those 10 quiet seconds on the edge of the bed prevent that entirely. Now stand up and walk to the bathroom. And here I want to show you one final technique that will make all of the wonderful work you just did even more effective. It is called double voiding. And the goal is simply to make absolutely sure that your bladder is as empty as it can possibly be before you lie down for the night. Sit down on the toilet. And I want to speak directly to the men watching right now. Sitting down to urinate is nothing whatsoever to be embarrassed about. In terms of properly emptying the bladder, sitting is actually far more effective than standing because it fully relaxes the pelvic floor muscles, which allows for a much more complete void. If your goal tonight is uninterrupted sleep, sitting down is genuinely the smarter choice. Urinate as you normally would. When you feel that you have finished completely, do not immediately get up. Instead, try one of the following. Either stand briefly and gently rock your torso forward and backward a few times to slightly shift the position of your bladder, then sit back down and try to go once more. Or, simply stay seated, lean forward gently from your hips, hold for a few seconds, then sit back and attempt to urinate again. And here is the single most important instruction for this step. Do not strain, and do not push. Forcing it is completely counterproductive. Straining only tenses the very muscles you actually need relaxed. Instead, just breathe slowly, let your body soften, and wait. You will very likely find that a small additional amount comes through, and that little bit truly matters. That is the exact fluid that would have woken you up at 4 in the morning. Now, I want to be completely straightforward and honest with you about something, because I genuinely believe you deserve a complete and honest picture. Everything we have covered together today is highly effective for the single most common cause of nighttime urination in adults, which is fluid accumulating in the legs during the day and then being processed by the kidneys at night. For that cause, these techniques truly work, and most people notice a genuine improvement within just 3 to 5 nights of consistent practice. However, there are other causes of nighttime urination that these exercises simply will not address, and it is important that you are able to recognize them. If you experience burning, stinging, or discomfort when you urinate, that is a possible sign of a urinary tract infection, and it needs to be evaluated and properly treated by a doctor. If you are a man and you notice that your urine stream has become weak, that it takes a long time to start, or that you feel as though your bladder never fully empties no matter how long you wait, those symptoms may point toward prostate enlargement, which is a very common and very treatable condition. If you are drinking large amounts of water, feeling constantly thirsty, and urinating frequently both during the day and at night, those symptoms together could be related to your blood sugar levels and would warrant a simple blood test. And if your nighttime urination has worsened suddenly, or if it is accompanied by any fever, pain in your back or sides, or unexplained changes in your weight or energy levels, please go and see your doctor without delay. The techniques I have shared with you today are wonderful daily habits. Think of them simply as gentle maintenance for your body, the exact same way you brush your teeth every single night. But maintenance never replaces diagnosis. If something feels genuinely wrong, please do not ever hesitate to seek proper medical attention. There is never ever any shame in that whatsoever. So, to bring it all together neatly, here is exactly what your complete routine looks like from start to finish. You begin with the heel rise pump. 15 to 20 slow, deliberate repetitions, seated comfortably in a chair, activating that calf muscle pump and getting your circulation moving. Then you move on to the lymphatic squeeze. 5 to 6 upward strokes from heel to knee on each leg, followed by 10 sweeping palm passes, physically guiding that trapped fluid up and out of the tissue and directing it back toward your heart. And finally, the elevated drain and reset. Legs up against the wall or resting on pillows, 4 full cycles of deep rhythmic breathing, a complete full-body relaxation scan, and the gentle visualization of all that fluid draining peacefully away while you are still comfortably awake. Then you finish everything with the double voiding technique in the bathroom, and off you go to sleep. The whole routine takes somewhere between just 12 and 15 minutes, and what it can give you back in return is something truly priceless. Hours upon hours of unbroken, restful, deeply restorative sleep. If you can only manage to do one single thing tonight, then do the elevation and the breathing. Tomorrow night add the massage, and the night after that add the calf pump. Build it up gradually, one piece at a time. Make it into a habit and give your body the fair chance it deserves to respond. You are still here watching all the way to the end because you take your health seriously. That genuinely matters. That is not nothing. A full, uninterrupted night of deep sleep is not some luxury reserved only for younger people or lucky people. It is something your body was fundamentally designed for, and with just a little bit of the right support, it is absolutely and completely within your reach. If this was helpful to you today, please take just a moment to like this video and to subscribe. It truly helps this channel grow, and it allows me to keep bringing you simple, practical, evidence-based guidance exactly like this. Thank you so very much for spending this time here with me. I truly and sincerely hope that tonight is a much quieter, more restful night for you. Take really good care of yourself, and I will see you again in the very next one. Let me ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly. How many times did you get up last night? Once? Twice? Maybe 3 or even 4 times? And when your alarm finally went off this morning, did you feel rested, or did you feel like you had barely closed your eyes at all? If that sounds painfully familiar, I need you to stay with me right now, because what I am about to share with you over the next few minutes might genuinely be the most useful thing you watch all week long. Most people who wake up night after night to use the bathroom automatically blame one thing, and one thing only: their bladder. They convince themselves that their bladder has become too small, too weak, too sensitive, or simply worn out with age. They assume it is just something they have to live with now, but here is the truth, and this is something that far too many doctors never take the time to sit down and explain properly. In the vast majority of cases, especially for people over the age of 50, a weak or overactive bladder is not actually the real reason behind those exhausting nighttime trips to the bathroom. The true cause is hiding somewhere else entirely. And once you finally understand where it is hiding, everything, and I mean everything, starts to make perfect sense. The real problem, my friend, is happening down in your legs. Right now, as you go about your ordinary day, sitting, standing, walking around, gravity is doing something quietly and sneakily behind the scenes. It is constantly pulling fluid downward. Blood plasma, lymphatic fluid, plain water, all of it slowly drifting down into your lower legs, your ankles, and your feet. During the day, you probably do not notice it very much, maybe a little puffiness around the ankles by evening. Maybe your shoes feel just a bit tighter than they did when you first put them on in the morning. But then night comes, you finally lie down flat and horizontal in your comfortable bed, and suddenly all of that accumulated fluid that spent the entire day pooling in your legs has nowhere left to go but up and back toward the center of your body. It travels upward, it reaches your kidneys, and your kidneys, being the loyal, tireless, hard-working organs that they are, immediately get to work turning all of that returning fluid into urine. And that, right there, is exactly why you find yourself wide awake at 1 in the morning, at 3 in the morning, shuffling half asleep to the bathroom, night after endless night. But here is the wonderful news. Once you truly understand the actual root cause, the solution becomes beautifully simple and straightforward. We are going to move that trapped fluid out of your legs before you ever get into bed. We are going to do it using 3 simple techniques that require absolutely no equipment, no special clothing, and no particular level of fitness whatsoever, just a few quiet minutes of your evening. I have deliberately arranged these 3 techniques in a very specific order, so please stay with me all the way through to the end. The third technique in particular is by far the most powerful of them all, and I truly do not want you to miss it. Now, before we dive in, let me just take one quick moment to say this. If you find this information helpful today, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing if you have not already done so. It genuinely helps this content reach other people out there who are quietly struggling with this exact same problem and have absolutely no idea that a simple, natural solution even exists. Alright, let us get into it. We are going to start with what I call the heel rise pump. Think of this as your opening move, your gentle warm-up, the exercise that wakes up the circulation in your lower legs and gets everything flowing in the right direction. Here is something most people simply do not realize about their own body. Your calf muscles, those muscles running down the back of your lower legs, actually function almost like a second heart. When those muscles contract and squeeze, they physically press against the veins and vessels running through your legs and push the blood and fluid inside them upward, back toward your heart where it belongs. Doctors and physiotherapists call this the calf muscle pump, and it is one of the single most important mechanisms your body has for managing fluid down in your lower extremities. The problem is that most of us spend an enormous portion of our day sitting at a desk, sitting in the car, sitting in front of the television in the evening, and when you sit perfectly still for hours on end, that calf pump completely stops working. The fluid just quietly pools and settles. So this is exactly how we wake it back up. Find yourself a sturdy chair and sit down with both feet flat on the floor. Your posture should be relaxed but upright, comfortable but not slumped. Rest your hands gently on your thighs, if that helps you feel a little steadier. Now slowly press the balls of your feet down into the floor and raise both of your heels up as high as they will comfortably go. At the very top of that movement, squeeze your calf muscles firmly and hold that squeeze for 1 full second. Then slowly, with control, lower your heels back down to the floor. That is 1 single repetition. The pace here truly matters more than anything else. You want this to be slow and deliberate every single time. Up, squeeze, hold, and gently down. Not fast, not bouncy, not rushed. You want to give those calf muscles the time they need to fully contract and really squeeze that fluid upward and out. Aim for somewhere between 15 and 20 repetitions at a comfortable, steady, unhurried rhythm. If you feel any cramping beginning to start up, simply stop. Wiggle your toes around for a moment, take a slow breath, and then continue on. Cramping during calf exercises usually just means the muscle was a little dehydrated or a bit underused and is simply not accustomed to being activated like this. It is not a signal to stop entirely. After your 15 to 20 repetitions, you may already begin to notice a pleasant warmth or a gentle tingling sensation building up in your calves and lower legs. That is your circulation responding beautifully. That is blood and fluid actively beginning to move. Some people even feel a soft, gentle throbbing as the vessels open up and welcome the flow. All of that is a genuinely excellent sign. This first technique alone, done consistently every single evening, can make a real and noticeable difference, but what comes next goes even deeper. The second technique I want to teach you is something I call the lymphatic squeeze. This one is a self-massage method, and it is specifically designed to physically dislodge and move the stubborn fluid that tends to sit trapped deep inside the soft tissues of your lower legs. This is the fluid that simple movement alone may not fully be able to address on its own. I want to take a moment to explain exactly why this works, because once you truly understand the mechanism behind it, you will perform this technique with far more intention, and it will become far more effective for you. Your lymphatic system is a vast network of tiny vessels running throughout your entire body. Its whole job is to collect excess fluid from your tissues and carry it safely back into your bloodstream. But unlike your blood, which is constantly pushed around by the powerful beating of your heart, your lymphatic fluid has no dedicated pump of its own. It moves primarily through muscle contractions, through your breathing, and through the gentle pressure created by ordinary movement. So when you are sedentary, and still for long stretches of time, lymphatic flow slows down dramatically, and fluid begins to pool in exactly the areas most affected by gravity, your legs and your feet. Manual lymphatic drainage, which is the proper clinical term for what we are about to do together, has been used for decades in physiotherapy clinics and post-surgical rehabilitation to address this exact kind of fluid buildup. What I am going to show you now is a gentle, simplified version that you can easily do all by yourself, right at home, before bed. Sit down comfortably on your bed or in a chair. Cross your right ankle over your left knee so that your right leg is resting in a relaxed, open position, and your right calf is easily accessible to both of your hands. This crossed position matters because it allows the muscle to stay completely soft and passive while you work on it. Begin at the lower part of your calf, just above the ankle. Cup both hands around the calf, thumbs on one side, fingers wrapping the other, and apply firm but comfortable pressure. Now slowly slide both hands upward from the ankle toward the back of the knee in one long, smooth, deliberate stroke. Think of it exactly like you are gently squeezing water out of a sponge and directing it in one clear direction. You are not scrubbing, you are not rubbing back and forth. You are making one single, deliberate upward movement, heel to knee, then release, return to your starting point, and do it again. Do 5 to 6 of these upward strokes on the right leg. Now there is one thing I want to be absolutely clear about, because doing this incorrectly can actually be counterproductive. Always work from the ankle upward toward the knee. Never drag your hands downward from the knee toward the foot. Your lymphatic vessels are specifically designed to carry fluid in one single direction, back up toward your heart. If you push that fluid downward, you are working directly against its natural flow and potentially forcing swollen fluid back into the very tissue that is trying so hard to drain. This is easily one of the most common mistakes people make when attempting self-massage, so please keep it firmly in mind. After your upward squeezing strokes, open both hands flat and use your full palm, not just your fingertips, to make several long, smooth, sweeping passes from the ankle up to the knee. Use slightly lighter pressure this time than the squeezing strokes. Think of this part as the finishing flush, smoothing everything out and gently encouraging the very last remnants of fluid to drain upward. Do about 10 of these flat palm strokes, then switch legs entirely, left ankle over the right knee, same exact process. 5 to 6 squeezing strokes from heel to knee, followed by 10 sweeping palm passes. When you finish both legs, pause for a moment and simply notice how they feel. So many people describe their legs feeling lighter, looser, almost as though a heavy weight has been quietly lifted away. Some notice that their ankles look a little less puffy than they did just an hour ago, and some people, at this very point, feel a mild urge to use the bathroom. If that happens to you, that is absolutely perfect. That is precisely what we want. It means the fluid has genuinely been moved out of your legs, it is circulating back through your system, and your body is beginning to process it now, while you are still comfortably awake, rather than at 2 in the morning, while you are desperately trying to sleep. Take a moment to gently shake both legs out, roll your ankles around, take one slow breath. You have just done something genuinely beneficial for your body. And now, we move on to the most powerful technique of all. The third and final technique is one that I want you to give your complete and full attention to, because it works on multiple levels all at the same time. I call it the elevated drain and reset. It combines 3 separate things that, when used together, become remarkably and surprisingly effective: gravity-assisted fluid drainage, controlled deep breathing, and full nervous system relaxation. Let me break down exactly why each one of these matters so much. Gravity first. When your legs are raised up above the level of your heart, the fluid that has been pooling in your feet and ankles all day long begins to flow back toward your core almost immediately. This is simply physics at work. Elevating your legs for even just 10 to 15 minutes before sleep has been shown in clinical studies to significantly reduce the amount of fluid that your kidneys are forced to process during the night. Doctor, Ryan Foster, who has written extensively on the subject of nocturia, which is the proper medical term for nighttime urination, has repeatedly highlighted leg elevation as one of the single most underused and underappreciated strategies for people dealing with this frustrating condition. Breathing second. Your diaphragm, which is your primary breathing muscle, acts as a gentle natural pump for your entire lymphatic system every single time you take a deep breath. When you breathe shallowly, that pump barely activates at all. But when you breathe deeply and slowly, it creates a rhythmic pressure change throughout your chest and abdomen that actively pulls lymphatic fluid upward through the thoracic duct, which is the main drainage channel of your whole lymphatic system. Deep breathing, in other words, is quite literally helping to drain your legs. And third, nervous system regulation. When your nervous system is stuck in a heightened, stressed state, what we call fight-or-flight mode, your body actually holds onto fluid, your muscles stay tense and tight, and your sleep quality suffers badly. Transitioning your nervous system gently into a calm, parasympathetic state before bed is not just wonderful for your sleep, it is genuinely good for your body's fluid regulation too. Here is exactly how to do the technique. Get onto your bed, or onto a yoga mat on the floor, positioned near a wall. If you are using the wall, slide your body close enough that you can rest both legs straight up against it, with your bottom resting on the surface below. Your legs should extend comfortably upward against the wall. You do not need your hips pressed tightly against it. If your hamstrings feel pulled, or your lower back lifts away from the surface, simply scoot a few inches further back until your whole back feels relaxed and flat. Comfort is truly essential here. And if the wall is not practical for you at all, that is completely fine. Just stack 2 or 3 firm pillows at the foot of your bed and rest your calves on top of them. The only real requirement is that your feet end up higher than your chest. That is what allows gravity to do its work. Once you are settled and comfortable, place one hand on your chest and the other hand on your belly. This hand placement is your feedback system. It will tell you whether you are breathing correctly. Now we begin the breathing component. This particular breathing pattern, a 4-count inhale, a 7-count hold, and an 8-count exhale, is based on ancient breathing techniques that have been carefully studied in modern clinical settings for their powerful effect on the autonomic nervous system. When practiced consistently, this pattern has been shown to activate the vagus nerve, which is the primary nerve responsible for signaling your body to shift out of a stressed state and into a deeply relaxed one. Here is how it works. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4. As you inhale, you should feel your belly rise,